How's it going? My name's Colin Winters, and today we are going over the NFC South quarterly report, this time for quarter two. Yes, so just like the last video, we are going to be going over every team in that NFC South, seeing what they did the past 4 weeks in the NFL, and just kind of give them a grade based on that. Not going to try to drag this out too long for watch time, so I'm just going to go ahead and start with the top of the division at the moment, which is actually the Atlanta Falcons. I was not expecting to see Atlanta here. I was expecting Atlanta to be like constantly in the middle of the division, like dancing on second and third the entire season. But here they are at the top of the division, of course, tied for the top, but still, they are at the top nonetheless. They are 2-2 in this quarter with one divisional win. And now I went and looked at, some of the games, some of the highlights, and some of the stats, and I've compiled a little bit of a list that I wanted to go over. The first thing is Desmond Ridder. What the fuck is he? I still really think that the Falcons should be ready to move on from Ridder after this season, but for now they might as well ride with him and see if something clicks and he actually becomes the caliber of quarterback that many Falcons fans seem to think he already is. But overall, he has been a pretty bad quarterback. He's had a lot of games where he gets a lot of yardage, but other than that, you're not really seeing too much from him. He has that good game, and then he goes back to normal, and then he gets bad. Desmond Ritter's play is like a really weird roller coaster. It keeps going up and down and up and down, and like plateaus at like average for a little bit, and then has like a quick dip down, and he has a really good game again, and then it's just kind of weird, and I don't really understand it. But at least you have this good point that I have, which is Jesse Bates continues to be just a fantastic free agent acquisition for you guys, and I think that he is absolutely going to be the cornerstone of that defense coming soon. Another just flat out bad thing is Arthur Smith and his play calling. He is amongst the lowest ranked play callers in the NFL, so I can't really understand that. Maybe Desmond Ritter's struggles are because of the play calling, or maybe it's the play calling getting a low grade because the execution from the quarterback isn't doing too well, and they could just be harmoniously confusing together. They could be on that roller coaster holding hands as they go up and down the humps. But overall, your offense can move down the field, but it just lacks scoring potential. It's able to get up and down, but when it comes to the nitty gritty and getting it into the end zone, you seem to fall short there, and the defense, while good, lacks turnovers and sacks. But still, in a division like this, it's obviously that it's enough to be in first. If you continue this play, I don't see any reason why you won't continue winning these very ugly games, might I add. Very ugly wins, but still, a win is a win. I don't see how you can't continue to be at least, 1 and 2 in the division. I'm just hearing cars zoom by my window, and I live next to a stop sign, so I know for a fact those fuckers are just blowing right past. And next we have New Orleans. New Orleans, you are also 2-2, no divisional games, and my biggest thing for you guys is that I am seeing a very bland football team whenever you guys head out onto the field. You have no real outstanding players, and I will say that could just be for the fact that on defense it's just a pretty all-right defense. It's just, they have pretty high interception numbers, but overall it's nothing too special. And then on offense you have Pete Carmichael calling plays, which is awful and seems to have no idea whatsoever of how to actually do anything correctly. So maybe that's why you're seeing some of the players that should be really good, like Chris Olave, who has seemed to have very hot and cold days when it comes to when he's on the field. Maybe Pete Carmichael and the play calling is the issue there, but I'm not too sure. So far, it just seems like you guys are a really boring team, and I'm sorry to say that. It's just not interesting to watch the games, and it doesn't seem like there's an interesting product on the field. But I will say, though, I still have you pegged for my favorites to win the division, because even though there seems to be a little bit of, friction going on when it comes to the team, you're seeing Derek Carr get real angry, sometimes players giving up on plays, even though you should play to the end no matter what. I'm still saying that you guys have the highest, I would say, well, I wouldn't say high ceiling, lowest floor, and that lowest floor in a division like this means that you are going to have a easier time winning. So I would say, even though, yeah, you're pretty boring, you're still probably going to end up winning division. That's at least what I think. And I would say the Colts game that you had, that was just a pretty good game. And if you can ride that momentum up into your next games, you're going to be fine. Oh, now Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay. Somehow you are the person who has done the worst this quarter. Of course, still not the worst in the division because I exist, but you've done pretty bad. You are 0-3 this quarter. You, of course, had your bye week, but you also have a division loss in this quarter as well. So that's why you only played 3 games. But the biggest thing, Tampa Bay, that I can say to you is that the reason you seem to be losing so many games the way you are is that you have no running game. And with a quarterback like Baker Mayfield, you need a complementary running game for him to succeed. And that's nowhere to be found because Baker is still playing fine. Baker is not a quarterback right now who's going to lose you a game. Sure, he can make the occasional mistake, but he's not losing you games. He's still going to be able to keep you in. He's not going to be doing anything super flashy. He can take it with his legs sometimes, stuff like that. Sometimes on the stat sheet, it looks like he's your best rusher at times. But overall, it just seems like the lack of running game is really killing your offense. And that's because your defense is still playing pretty well. They're doing well. They are able to keep what are supposed to be pretty good offenses in check, which makes me believe that Tampa Bay, all you are is just a better version of the Panthers. And let me tell you something, being a better version of the worst in the league ain't going to get you far. Just think about it. You have a quarterback who is not going to really be losing you any games, who is doing fine. You have a really good defense that is keeping, offenses in check for the most part, with the exception of a few games. And then you also have the fact that without a run game, you're not able to get the nitty-gritty yards and end up going 3 and out way more than you should be. But because of the fact that you got some really early wins and some really good wins in the first quarter of this season, now you're sitting here third in the division with a streak of 3 losses in the row, looking like just a better version of your NFC South rival. Still, I feel like it's just a matter of time before you guys, right the ship and actually start getting better, because I still think you guys have the best chance of being the second in the division, if not being a sneaky, winner if you're able to get stuff back on track and get a running game going. So I wouldn't actually be too concerned. I just want to take the piss out of you. And now we still have the Panthers. The Panthers, of course, still very much last in the division. But in this quarter, they did get their first win because they are 1-2. And we had our bye week, so we didn't get, destroyed for 4 total weeks with only 1 win. But yes, we did get our first win, which is good, but we're still last in the division. The main notes being that Bryce Young continues to improve, which is just a great thing to see after going so poorly the entire season beforehand. It is good to see the fact that we are having our young QB develop so nicely. He's showing constant improvement, showing flashes of how great he can be. So I'm pretty happy with that. We are finally moving on from Miles Sanders, who seemed to have an incredibly off year after we gave him a contract in this past offseason. He was like the one big free agent acquisition we got, and now he's like being relegated to 2 carries a game, which is 1 sample size, but still pretty bad if that's, if he's been paid and we're only giving him 2 carries. But with, Sanders being out, Hubbard's in, and Hubbard has been doing a fine job. He runs angry, he runs with power, he just runs like he wants it, which is just a great thing to see. Adam Thielen continues to be a great acquisition for the Panthers. He has been playing lights out recently, and he's just our wide receiver 1. I feel like the fact that we don't have a true wide receiver 1 is a absolute travesty, because Thielen could probably be doing absolutely, he could probably be doing better if we had another guy opposite of him, but we don't. But still, he's doing great. The run defense still sucks ass, so there's not much to talk about there. Our run defense has more gaping holes than a Brazzers video. The defense as a whole is still dealing with injuries, of course, linebackers, safeties, corners, all of that. But still, we are still seeing our depth do a really good job at stepping up in those roles. Every now and then having a pretty bad time, like the 2 games before our bye week were the Lions and Dolphins game, both of which that we let up 42 points total. Not total, but 42 points each to those offenses, which of course is not a good thing at all. But still, we did see some pretty good plays from our young guys. We were quite injured for both those games and are still injured now. No excuses, of course, because you shouldn't be letting up 42 points at all. You're an NFL defense, but it happens every now and then. Of course, it happened to us as we were worst in the league. But still, not bad. Still not the Broncos. In other injury news, we did get Austin Corbett back, and he is an absolute stud on the offensive line. The only sack he let up during this past game against Houston was really a coverage sack. Bryce just had nowhere to go with the ball, and he started to try to run for it, and this guy was able to disengage really well and get Bryce down there, so that wasn't really Corbett's fault. Otherwise, his grades were amazing as he came back, and he's going to absolutely be an anchor on that right side of the line. And then finally, I just want to say that Icky is seeming to struggle a lot right now. He is having a terrible sophomore season when it comes to him. He has no footwork, no real hand placement. He seemed to have been going off of all his just raw athletic ability, not realizing that in NFL you can have all the athletic talent you want, but if you do not hone your practice, you're not going to get very far. Just like last time, I'm going to say the biggest disappointment so far this quarter is absolutely the 3 losing streak of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The most pleasant surprise would be probably the Panthers getting their first win. And other than that, the NFC South has been just kind of a boring division to look at. I'm not going to lie. NFC South is full of a bunch of teams who like to play down to their competition or just plain suck. Wouldn't be the first time that we're the most boring division in football, but we're here again. But with a lot of the teams having a lot of bright futures ahead of them, I'm excited to see where this division goes as a whole. I prefer when my rivals are good because it makes matchups even better when we have to see them twice every year. So, to Bucks, Falcons, and Saints fans alike, good luck to you, and I hope you guys have a good season. And I'll see everyone who has watched this video to the end next time. Goodbye.